Hey y'all, what's up? It's Maddie, and this is my last project of grade 9 social studies. And of course, it's going to be a project on Mr. Donald J. Trump's impeachment. As you can see, I just woke up. I got dressed into some comfy clothes. I walked into my closet, grabbed my favorite Mustang hoodie, and put it in my bag because you always gotta rep the merch. Then I made my way downstairs to my kitchen, where I proceeded to grab some of my favorite fruit snacks, which are the yellow no-name box, and then I grabbed it, I yeeted it in my book bag. I then grabbed my winter clothes, I put them on, and then I headed outside to begin my journey to the USA. I said goodbye to my house, my sister, and all the neighborhood kids. Since I was alone, going to the USA, I was thinking of what I could do once I got there to get the inside scoop on Mr. Trump. I was thinking that I could interview some Americans and ask them what they think about the impeachment. And then I'm going to attend a conference with Mr. Trump to see what he has to say on his behalf of the impeachment. And then, since I was by myself and I need to do a little bit more research on the impeachment, and since I haven't really followed the U.S. politics, I guess, I needed to do some research. So I read many news articles, watched many debate videos and conference videos of Mr. Trump. And after doing all this research, I obtained information on him and his impeachment. On December 18, 2019, Mr. Donald J. Trump was impeached for abusing his power as president. From what I understand about impeachment is that they are on stage 2 out of 3, and stage 2 is where the House of Representatives must vote on the impeachment. Stage 1 was Congress had to investigate on the situation, and yes, I just ate my snacks. And stage 3 is where the Senate tries the accused. In this case, the accused is Mr. Trump. And since I had a lot more walking to do for my journey, I started to think to myself, why did Mr. Trump do what he did in the first place? And what does he think on the impeachment? We're going to have to find out together as I continue my journey to the US of the A. So as you can see, I finally made it to the USA after my long journey of walking. And after I made it into the USA, I did a little bit more walking and made my way into Michigan State. Once entering Michigan State, I did a little bit more walking and I went to the city, or small town I guess you'd call it, where I attended a Trump rally that he held, or like a conference, where he talked about the elections and the impeachment which he is involved in.
The Republican Party has never been so affronted, but they've never been so united as they are right now. Ever. Never. And I know the senators, and they're great guys, and women too. We have some great women, we have great guys, they're great people. They love this country. They're going to do the right thing. They're going to do the right thing. So I said in my letter to Pelosi, I love that. Usually there's one, two. The Republicans, look, I've said it for a long time. The Democrats are lousy politicians. They really are. They've got horrible policies, open borders, crime is fine, drugs pouring through. I mean, think of what they do. Sanctuary cities, they love sanctuary cities, They're lousy politicians, but they have one thing, two things. They're vicious. They're the most vicious people. The Republicans aren't as vicious. They may learn to be vicious after going through this stuff. But the other thing, the Democrats always stick together. Now think of it. 3 Democrats went over to our side, no Republicans. It's unheard of. And by the way, this is for 100 years. I'm not just talking about this little point in time. The Republicans are known as it's always harder to stick together. These people are great. We have a great Republican Party, and we have to get that change. We have to take back the House. You'll have the greatest health care ever if we take, and by the way, we had another victory. The individual mandate, just a little while ago, came over the wires. It was just upheld. The individual mandate is now gone, the most unpopular part of Obamacare. It was just upheld. So I said in my letter to Pelosi, by proceeding with your invalid impeachment, You're violating your oath of office. You're breaking your allegiance to the Constitution. You're declaring open war on American democracy. You dare to invoke the Founding Fathers in pursuit of this election nullification scheme, yet your spiteful actions display unfettered contempt for America's founding and your egregious conduct. And listen, though, it's so true. It threatens to destroy what our founders pledged and, in fact, their very lives to build. You are the ones interfering in America's elections. You are the ones subverting America's democracy. We did nothing wrong, nothing whatsoever. This was just an excuse. You are the ones obstructing justice. You are the ones bringing pain and suffering to our republic for your own selfish, personal, political, and partisan gain. They're bringing pain. The work we could be doing on lowering drug prices, on getting rid of these horrible, horrible situations. You know, when the border, the woman is okay. Is she okay? Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. I mean, some of these people are waiting here for 3 days, right? Thank you. They'll come back. Come back. Thank you. Merry Christmas is true. But what they've done with this perversion, it's perversion. And when you watch some of these people get up and speak today, they don't even listen. Oh, you have violated the Constitution. Well, what has he done wrong? Well, we don't know that. They don't even have any crime. This is the first impeachment where there's no crime. I say, tell me what I did, please. Well, we don't know. You violated the Constitution. You had Turley, who's smart, Alan Dershowitz, these guys, all of them. They say there's no crime. There's no crime, right? There's no crime. I'm the first person to ever get impeached, and there's no crime. I feel guilty. You know what they call it? Impeachment light. It's impeachment light. That's why, you know, with Richard Nixon, I just see it as a very dark era. Very dark, very, you don't even like to think. I don't know about you, but I'm having a good time. It's crazy. But I also know we have a great group of people behind us in the Republican Party. We really do. Maybe I wouldn't feel the same way, but we have a great group of people behind us. We had it in the House and we have it in the Senate. They're doing a great job. So I'm not worried.
Cause and consequence,
where
the events intended or
it's always
unintended.
good. When you don't do anything wrong, you get impeached. That may be a record that will last forever. But you know what they have done? They've cheapened the impeachment process. And now anybody that becomes, you know, this is a sacred position. Anybody that becomes president, I mean, they could have a phone call and they get impeached. So if the Republicans, if you had a Democrat as president, we have a Republican House, they don't like the guy for whatever reason or the woman, they impeach the person. It's cheapened it. It's exactly what our founding fathers didn't want, and they said it could happen, and it's happened.
Cause and consequence, where the events intended or unintended. What are the things that caused the event to happen and the people to be in the situation that they are in? Mr. Trump found out that former Vice President Joe Biden is vying for the 2020 Democratic presidential nomination. And he didn't like this, so he wanted investigations done on Joe. So he held military aid from the Ukraine so that they would do the investigations for Trump. And then people found out that Trump was doing this, so he got caught. He denied to write a letter or document stating what he did, causing the impeachment. So that's what caused the impeachment and what caused the whole situation. List the different causes that cause your events and explain which one is more important. Well, Mr. Trump found out about the Joe Biden situation and the vying for the 2020 Democratic presidential nomination. So there was $400 million of military aid that got held that was supposed to go to the Ukraine, and it had already been allowed, but Trump held it so that the Ukraine could do an investigation on Joe Biden and Joe Biden's son, as Joe Biden's son used to work for the Ukraine government at the time of the event. And he held it until the Ukraine did the investigations, and I'm not sure if they got the investigations done, but that is the main reason and the most important reason for the impeachment. And then another reason is because at the time he found out he got impeached, he did not write a letter or document stating what he did. And that's why. List the long-term and short-term consequences of your event. Well, a long-term consequence is that if Trump gets impeached, he can no longer run for president and he will no longer be president. So obviously that's a consequence. And then a short term would be he has to go through the process of the impeachment, which is the 3 stages, and waiting until to see if he gets impeached or if he still gets to hold his spot as president. List the different things that the event or people may have saw or not saw coming. Well, depending who you talk to, it will depend on what they see or didn't see coming. So some people, because they don't like Trump and they just think he's not a good person, would already see him getting impeached coming because they just don't think he makes good decisions. And people who support Trump all the way think he's a great person would be like, he's not getting impeached, what are you talking about? So, like him holding the military aid, a lot of people didn't see that coming, but it did. Him doing the investigations on Joe Biden, people didn't see that coming. And yeah. Historical significance. Who gets to decide what is important? Does this event / people shed light or reveal a larger issue historically or currently? Well, from what I understand, not really, because he is the first person to be impeached for this reason. So obviously no one has done it before. And he is also only the 3rd president to be impeached in the whole U.S. president history. Does the importance level change based on who you talk to? Yes and no. The reason for the importance changes. So like if I was to talk to a Democrat, as you see, they think it's important because they want Trump out of the office and they don't want him president. But if I was to talk to a Republican, as you will see, they think it's important because they don't want him out of the office, so they want him to not get impeached fully. And they want to keep him in the office. And members of the House of Representatives could also think it's important because they're the ones voting to get him impeached, and it's like part of their life right now. And Mr. Trump also thinks it's important because like it's him getting impeached, so he doesn't want to get impeached because he wants to stay president. So here's some interviews that I made. Hi, I'm Maddie.
Hi, I'm Macy.
Nice to meet you. I'm a reporter from MCTV, and I was wondering if I could ask you a few questions about your president, Mr. Trump.
Sure.
Okay, first question. Why do you think Mr. Trump got impeached?
To be honest, I don't know why Trump got impeached. He didn't do anything wrong. He's only trying to help our country.
Okay. So, I'm Maddie.
Yo, what's up? My name's Caitlin.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm a reporter from MCTV,
Nice.
and I was wondering if I could interview you and ask you a few questions on your president, Mr. Trump.
Of course.
Okay, why do you think Mr. Trump got impeached?
Mr. Trump is not a very intelligent person, so he probably did something extremely moronic to get himself impeached.
Okay. As you just seen in the interviews I just did, the importance level kind of changed in like who I talked to. Like the reason it was important changed. So when I talked to a Democrat, the importance to them was that they want Trump to get impeached and they feel that it was important to them because they don't want him to be president. And then they're all looking at me.
Who?
Everyone in my class is looking at me. Does the event affect many people? How many people? And long-term or short-term change? Well, obviously the event does affect Mr. Trump because it is like surrounded by him, but it also affects all the people in the House of Representatives as they have to vote on his impeachment. I'm not sure how much it affects the Ukraine because I haven't really seen that anywheres. And long-term and short-term change has already been said, but I can list them again. Long-term is if Trump gets impeached, he can no longer run for president and he will no longer be president. Short-term, he has to go through the process of waiting to see if he will get impeached. Ethical dimension, moral judgments of the past. What ethical or moral questions does this event, action, or development raise? Well, some questions that Americans had about the impeachment were who benefits the longer this process is drawn out, the Democrats or the Republicans? They also asked if Trump is not impeached from the office this time and further major abuses of power or blatant corruption continue to surface, can he be impeached in the House a second, third, or fourth time? And a final question, which these are the three most popular ones. Who is the most likely to be an impeachment manager? And does Nancy Pelosi pick them, or does the House of Representatives vote on who is the impeachment manager? Should present-day citizens bear any ethical responsibility for the actions of the past? Why or why not? Well, in my opinion, if you didn't have anything to do with the event, you should have no responsibility for it whatsoever. So in this situation, Mr. Trump should be the only one held responsible, or even the Ukraine leader could be held responsible, as they were the ones who kind of did it with him, I guess. If this event were to take place today, how would citizens evaluate it? Well, it does take place today, and it really depends on who you ask. So if you were to ask a Democrat how they evaluate it, they would say it's a good thing because they don't want Trump to be president. So they're like, yeah, he's getting impeached, let's kick him out, yeah. But if you were to ask a Republican, since they support Trump, they would think it's a bad thing because they want him to stay president, as I think he is a good president. And they would evaluate it as a bad thing because they want him in the office. Second question, how do you evaluate the impeachment?
I evaluate it as a bad thing because he didn't do anything. The Democrats just want him out of the office.
Okay. Unfortunately for this question, I did not get to interview a Democrat. What were the dominant influences and values that motivated this decision or event of the past? Well, since this isn't a past event, it's a present day one, the past part doesn't fall into play. But the dominant influences and values that motivated this decision were Joe Biden vying for the 2020 Democratic presidential nomination. It's the main reason for the impeachment, and it's what caused Trump to hold the $400 million military aid from the Ukraine, and which made Trump tell the Ukraine to do the investigations on Joe Biden and his son. Historical perspective, walking in someone's shoes. Does this person or group have any allies or supporters at the time of the event? Explain. Yes. Anyone who supports Trump, such as Republicans, did support him through this event, but most Democrats don't support him since they don't like him. But he stated that 3 Democrats switched over to Republican because they believe he didn't do anything wrong, and they now support him fully. And allies in this event, Ukraine, the leader of Ukraine, or just Ukraine as a whole, could be considered as an ally since they did the investigations for Trump. Question, will you be voting for Mr. Trump in the 2020 elections?
Yes, 100%. He is the best president I've ever had.
Okay, thank you. And will you be voting for Mr. Trump?
No! He does not deserve to run our country, especially the USA.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
What factors were considered most important at the time in making this decision? Well, the most important factor would be what Trump did. So, like, him wanting the investigations done on Joe Biden and Joe Biden's son, and holding the $400 million in military aid from the Ukraine. Another factor, but that isn't as important, is that when Trump got told he was impeached, he didn't release a document or letter stating what he did to get impeached. Did this person or group respond to the event? Explain why they responded as they did at the time. Well, as seen in the video clip from the rally Trump held in Michigan, the way he said he didn't do anything wrong makes it seem like he was surprised that he didn't by the impeachment. I think he responded this way because he knew what he did and he's just trying to make it seem like he didn't do anything wrong. And then as the next clip you'll see, which is an interview with a Republican and a Democrat, they took sides, I guess. And obviously they respond the way they did because they either support or do not support Mr. Donald J. Trump. Third question, what is your opinion on Mr. Trump getting impeached?
In my opinion, Mr. Trump should not have been impeached. He is only doing our country good, and he is only trying to protect us.
Okay, fourth and final, what is your opinion on him getting impeached?
I think Mr. Trump is a terrible president and deserves to get impeached in every way. He is only harming our country and making more and more enemies.
Okay. Why did these people act the way they did? What feelings could this person have felt? He did what he did because former Vice President Joe Biden is vying for the 2020 Democratic presidential nomination. Mr. Trump is probably felt threatened by Joe, thinking Joe is going to win that nomination. And they acted the way they did because Trump, Who are the leaders who had the most influence on this event or development, and how did they exercise their leadership? Well, Trump and the leader of Ukraine had the most influence on this event, as they are the ones included. You can also say former Vice President Joe Biden was an influence since he was the one who kind of made it happen, and he was a leader. And they didn't really show their leadership because it was like a bad thing because it caused Trump to get impeached. But Trump is using his leadership powers, which he has as president, to go around from state to state and city to city to convince people that he didn't do anything wrong. Continuity and change. Why do some things change or stay the same? Comparing this time period to an earlier time period, what changed and what stayed the same? Comparing this to the two other impeachments in the U.S. president history, things that have changed are the president getting impeached, and the reason for the impeaching, and the political party change. So, like, President Trump now is a Republican, and the last two impeachment presidents were Democrats. And I couldn't really find anything that stayed the same. So yeah. It is sometimes said that it is advisable to return to the good old days. Why do you think people believe this? I think people believe this because times were more simple in the olden days, as I've heard many people say, and things weren't so complicated and technologically advanced, I guess you could say, or like they weren't influenced by technology and their life wasn't surrounded by technology, which made their lives apparently 10 times easier. Was this event a dramatic and sudden change, or did it happen slowly and by stages? From the information that I found on the impeachment process, I found out that the impeachment process is 3 stages. So the answer to this question would be slowly and by stages, because they have to go through the 3 stages in order to see whether he is impeached and should get out of the White House or if he should stay president. What human actions and decisions were instrumental in provoking or advancing this change? Well, the people in the House of Representatives, their decisions were very instrumental in advancing this change because they're the people who have to vote on whether Trump gets fully impeached or not. And then Trump's actions on getting info on Joe Biden and his son and holding the $400 million of military aid is what caused the impeachment, and then the House of Representatives have to advance the change by voting. So after doing my research on the impeachment of Mr. Trump and just learning about the impeachment, I finally decided it was time to go home. So here I am making my way back to my home in Canada because honestly, I like it so much better than the USA. First secondary source I'm showing you is an article about the impeachment questions people had. It was posted on January 10th, 2020 by New York Times, written by Noah Wyland. The second one is an article about Trump reacting to the impeachment, posted on Thursday, December 19th, 2019 by TheGuardian.com. The third one is an article about voting for the impeachment, and it's where the House sends a historic case to the Senate, posted on January 15th, 2020 by BBC.com. And the last one it's a chart of the percentage of Americans who would like to remove Trump from the office, posted on January 16th, 2020 by Aaron Bycoffey, Ella Cozy, and Nathaniel Rakich, which was posted on 538.com. I didn't know what to put for the background video, so I just put a video of me getting my face shoved with pudding by Caitlin. But for the credits, we'd like to say thank you to my little sister Macy for playing the Republican, Caitlin for playing the Democrat, all the neighborhood kids that were in my video at the start of the scene for video. Shout out to Google for being my best friend in this thing. And yeah, that's pretty much all the credits I have. Oh, and credits to the blooper scene during the Moncton High song when I started laughing because Miss Legacy's dancing. Yeah, that's pretty funny. And then shouts to Dasha for doing Renegade. And I started doing Renegade. And then Caitlin did it and realized she couldn't do the dance. So yeah, that's my credit scenes. Thanks for watching. Bloopers are next.
Wait, ready?
So,
Shit, never mind.
okay, whatever.
In conclusion, Donald J.
Renegade.
I don't even know the names.
So, in conclusion, bloopers.
Mr. Donald J. Trump is a phony and a fraud. Do not
Completely.
vote for him. You will regret it. You
I
will
agree.
regret it.
100% agreed.
Regret.
Full regret.
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 Not to mention, he's ugly. Not to mention, again,
Orange.
he's starting World War III.
Ain't nobody trying to die.
Ain't no thing but a chicken wing.
Or almost right up to the sky. Play the game and you will see that is the road to victory. What ethical or moral questions does
Dream of Republican Town.
Hi, hold this. Hi.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. What's your name?
Caitlin.
Okay, hi Caitlin.
Hi.
I'm a reporter. I'm sorry, I'll do it. Hi.
Hello.
What's your name? Caitlin. Hi, I'm a reporter from MCTV, and I was wondering if I could interview you and ask you a few questions on your president, Mr. Donald J. Trump. Yes. Okay. What is your opinion? Oh my god. Okay, I'll. Hi.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. What's your name?
My name is Caitlin McIntosh.
My
What's your
name's
name?
Maddie. Okay, this time it's gonna be